be standing up here in front of other people because I can remember walking in here. Well, I wasn't here. I was in what was DeFusky, now the Culinary Arts Center. You should have seen that place. It was a dream. I was here when they started the demolition, and I remember my orientation and thinking, wow, I've just embarked on 4 weeks here. I don't know what to expect. I was scared. Some of you may understand that. I thought I was going to starve to death. That was my biggest fear. I knew I was going to hurt. I knew I was going to push it. I knew there would be some limitations, things I could do physically. But I was mostly afraid of 1,200 calories. And that became, I'm sure most of you would agree, that that's like the farthest thing from your mind because you don't get hungry. They feed you right. They feed you with fuel, and you have your little Tabo tray over there to help you out. So I'm here to talk about my story, a little bit about what I did while I was here and what I've done since I've been home. I was very fortunate enough to be here for 1 month, 4 weeks, and I've had a pretty good time since I was here. So where it all began, I travel frequently for business, and my wife would always say, you've got to do something about your snoring. You don't sleep at night, you're going to have a stroke. You stop breathing for 30, 40 seconds, I shake you. It's just because you're laying next to me, it seems worse than it really is. Full-blown denial, right? And one night I was at a Hilton out in Oakland, California, and the next morning this was underneath my door. You snore loud all night long. We didn't get much sleep. You need to get help.
And he smells.
He smells. I think we'll just say they were tired, right?
I corrected it and said, I don't know what you're talking about.
So I needed to get help, and I did get help. I came here. It's the greatest place on earth. It is funny to look back on, but it is also very sad because I was a very sick person, very sick, and I was in denial. So my typical day, about 2 p.m., this is kind of what it looked like for me. Yeah, my buddy at work got me sleeping at my desk on a conference call. And, he heard me. I snored there, too. That's what made him get up with his phone and take my picture. And again, it's kind of funny to look at now, and they made a really big example of me. But it's when I really realized that my health was really, really in a state of just bad places. Uh-oh. Jeff. There we go. So about me, a few disclaimers. Nothing I'm going to tell you here today is my idea. I'm not here to capitalize on what Hilton Head Health has to offer. Everything I did, I learned here. Everything I say is about what I learned here. And some of the things that I've done, where I came from, I'll talk about where I came from in my journey, may not apply to you. Everybody has a different course that brought them to the place where they felt like they needed a change of lifestyle and some wellness in their life. So, I'm from Minnesota. Sure. But I now live in western Wisconsin. I say I'm a Minnesotan by birth and a cheesehead by naturalization. Married to my wife Jessica, who's wonderful. Children Ashley, 18, and Jacob, 14. Pretty fit through high school, football player. Kind of a stud. And early college days. I say early college days because I slipped pretty, it wasn't a freshman 15 thing because I didn't live in the dorm, so I can't blame it on the buffets in there. My weight gain began in 1991. My peak weight a little bit before I came here, was 373 pounds, which is a 60 BMI. Pretty sick. I'm a data geek. I work in the insurance healthcare industry, and although I'm a bit introverted, you'll understand that I'm a little bit pulled back and reserved. I do own a DJ business. I do some weddings and some fun stuff on the side. I try to come out of my shell now and then for that. So actually being in front of a few people is kind of like home for me. My path to obesity. Some of you may recognize a few logos up here. My path was anything and everything fast food, but not entirely. Buffalo wings, probably one of my biggest cravings to this day. If you put a plate in front of me, you'd have to put me in a straitjacket to hold me back, I think. It's reality. Ribs, buffets, oh boy, all the buffets. This is my path, and that's why I say your path may be different. Not everybody abused themselves like I did. Some of us did. There was no unwise, better, best. It was just unwise, unwise, unwise. That was the story of my life. My work life, I'm 12 years at my current company, which is called Hilton Health. We are a wellness company for seniors, incidentally, which I was not embracing as a non-senior. It's a demanding schedule. This should be no different than anybody else in this room. We all live and work crazy lives. Our employers want more and more out of us, and it doesn't matter where you work or what you do. Deadlines established before scope, that kind of thing. I work in the IT world. Frequent travel, living out of a suitcase, and restaurants and hotels. And the company was always willing to accept longer hours, 60 or 70 hours, with a smile. They embraced it. I can't believe they would just let me do that like that, right? That's something you have to think about. You have to make those changes yourself. My days here at Hilton Head Health, I made the decision to come here in March of last year. And I did some research. We all know there's a few other places out there. And I saw some things online I liked about different places. This Hilton Head Health jumped out at me right away. I watched the TV show Heavy. That definitely inspired me because I saw the staff interacting with people. And I saw how they interacted with people, and I knew that I had to come to a place where there was compassion and understanding and not just jamming it down your throat. I didn't want Bob and Jillian. I mean, I would work out with Bob and Jillian, but I didn't want that. I wanted people that were going to help me get through my journey. My company allowed me a leave of absence on sick time, which took a little negotiation. They weren't going to, but then I countered with, well, what if I go have gastric bypass? It was never an option for me, but what if I did? I would get to use sick time, and they said, good point, you win. I was here from April 24th, Easter Sunday, to May 22nd, 4 weeks, so I'm just about a year from my check-in date. This bad numbers, which is really neat to hear you talking about your numbers, that your final numbers here, because it makes me feel good to see somebody else seeing what I saw. I saw drastic improvements in my numbers. I work in healthcare. I work in healthcare data. I work with actuaries and PhDs on a daily basis. There's one thing I understand in statistics, and when I saw my blood sugar level, when I saw other factors when I checked in here, that hit me like a ton of bricks. I was in denial. I didn't want to admit that I was falling asleep at 2 in the afternoon, probably because I was diabetic. I never went in and got checked because that would confirm things. You avoid it. I avoid it, not you. If I run a data set on one of our healthcare populations, we have about 5 million lives in our healthcare database. If I run any population, any age group, any slice you want, and I run it through a tool that's built by the Johns Hopkins University. It does risk diagnostic groupings. If I take the 20 most expensive people in there, 18 will have one thing in common. What is it?
Diabetes.
It's diabetes. It has more comorbidities than any other disease. So many things. And when I saw that, it wasn't the end of the world. I knew it was just a time for me to change. And it was a realization for me. I lost 23 pounds, 8 inches. It seemed huge at the time because I felt it. I could feel those 23 pounds gone. I think back. That was a long time ago. But it's not about what I lost, it's what I gained. I gained confidence, determination, network of close friends. That's a piece I did not expect. I did not expect to get those papers at the end of my stay with everybody's, if you opt into the list, with email addresses and everything, and the people you hang out with at lunch and dinner and in the classes and the camaraderie. I have a really pretty expanded circle of friends from here that I keep in touch with. And, texting, we're emailing, we get back together down here. We did last year. That's the part I didn't expect. Knowledge, I think that's the key. For those of you that are coming for a week or 10 days, what you learn in these classrooms right here in Calabogie is the key to your success. You can apply the fitness piece, but I think we all know how to make ourselves sweat. We just have to get there and do it. But it's the knowledge you pull away from here. And the unexpected benefits I got from the self aspect of their program. Looking inside a little bit, why I did what I did to myself. That was a big piece for me here. So this was me, March 2011, down in the Keys, sitting on a dock that I didn't know if I'd be able to get back up off of. Not a very healthy fellow there. That was me. into my journey with Carla, one of my favorite things in the world, kickboxing with Carla. I'd go do it right now, even though I'm a little sore today. And there was my first 5K finish, which was September 2011, back in Minneapolis. That actually, I looked up the date, it was September 17th last year. That was the day I hit 100 pounds lost. That morning I weighed myself and I was like, so cool, what a milestone to hit on the day I'm going to run my first 5K, or at least hopefully run my first 5K. So, I think what the conversation was, you're living here in this bubble, and everybody at dinner talking about, what am I going to eat? How am I going to avoid these temptations? For me, it was getting home from work. I have an hour commute when I'm not traveling between my job and my home, and a lot of drive-thrus between Eden Prairie, Minnesota, and New Richmond, Wisconsin. When am I going to find time for the fitness? How will my family adjust? Now, that was an easy part for me, but I think for other people, that is a bigger challenge where you don't have the support at home that I did. I had just incredible support at home from my family. What's traveling going to be like for me? A lot of business travelers come through these doors. I've met a lot of them myself. We live out of suitcases and restaurants, and the restaurant doesn't care that I want to keep it, below 500, 600 calories for dinner. Will I survive outside the bubble? A lot of fears, We did well here. You really get a groove, but all you have to do is eat everything they put in front of you, hit some fitness classes, go to some lectures. You don't have to worry about anything else. You're living here. This slide is one slide in the deck, but this is a piece that I can't emphasize enough. And I thought about the at-home coaching starting in about my second week, and I knew that I had to do it. I talked to my wife. She said, and I originally said, well, let me get home and see how it goes. She said, no, do it before you leave, because once you get home, it's going to be out of sight, out of mind. Take a piece of that place home with you. All you do is talk about how wonderful it is, how wonderful the staff is. The at-home coaching program was so instrumental in my first 3 months. I only did 3 months, but it was tremendously helpful. My first business trips, some of my first business trips weren't like I do now, where I go down and stay myself and I take myself for dinner and I'm in control. My first business trips were arranged by a client. They were having this huge request for proposal process and these interviews, and they had a whole group there, so they would arrange boat trips in Austin, Texas. Well, if you go on a boat trip in Austin, Texas that's catered, what do you think they're going to serve?
Barbecue.
Yeah, barbecue, baby. Woo! I love it. So what am I going to do? Jeff! I called Jeff. Talked to Jeff beforehand. He goes, what's coming up your next couple of weeks? Let's talk about how things look. Let's look for the risks. Let's find the bogeys that are laying out there for you. And we talked about it, and we worked up plans. So I knew what I was going to do going in. I'd have something before I got on that boat, just in case. All they had was barbecue. And they had only barbecue and one vegetable tray. So on the boat, you got to be social. You're with a client. You have to be friendly. So I had my vegetables, and I had a piece of brisket. One piece of brisket. So, and then I can always get something after, More and more places have fruit available. Hotels, you see that bowl of fruit? Start stuffing it in your pockets. keep something handy, You don't want to allow yourself to get hungry. You're not hungry here. Don't allow yourself to get hungry when you leave here. So I took home the accountability, the support. I didn't want to let Jeff down. I don't want to let Adam down, anybody here. We had such a great thing rolling. You don't want to turn that around. You take home that understanding. So when you say, I had a rough week, they're not going to get angry with you. They're going to look for a solution with you. They're going to be supportive of you. It's just plain smart. And my wife and I were talking about it when I put this slide together, and she said, it's kind of a way to protect your investment. It's not inexpensive to come here. Now, in hindsight, don't tell them I said this, but it's worth double what I paid for what I've gotten from it. But don't tell the people at Hilton Head Health. And commit before you leave. You're bought into the program, you take it home with you. And I'm not paid to be here. I want you guys to know that. I'm doing this from the heart because I've succeeded because of it. So I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that I've had success with. Part one, nutrition, right? 80%. That kind of blew me away, even when